All right, Dolphin fans. So, this is what I want you to do, everybody. I want you to, we're going to start this with a meditative exercise. I want you to all close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes and imagine that the Dolphins are 8-2, 9-2, whatever it is that we are. Let's see, there's 17 games. The last six are hell on earth. So that means there's 11 before it. So 9-2. We are 9-2. And we are to talk to the NFL, and Tyreek is on his way to 2,000 yards, and Tua has got his MVP discussion, and everything is going outstanding until the last six games of the year hit. Now, I want you all to connect in with whatever entity, whatever deity you pray to, and ask him, how many of those last six games are we going to win?
And
Good
this isn't
morning,
me giving you the
Trey.
and this isn't me giving you the bird either. I think we win
Oh, shit.
uh, the Jets at home
The Jets at home. We're,
and
we're, we're starting off the video a little backwards, but
maybe
we,
someone else on accident. There's two. I
we
got
we
two for
enter we enter a season where the narrative of the Dolphins collapsing at the end of the year is really the only thing that there's left to sort through, right? We kind of think we have the coach and the quarterback ish. We should be okay. Let's at least agree to where we should be okay. And then the NFL decides, you know what? How about this for the final six games? How about at the Packers on Thanksgiving? And then we get that home game against the Jets that Trey thinks we might win. And then we go at Houston. And then we have another home game, which happens to be against the 49ers. And then we end the season on the road, freezing our cojones off in Cleveland. And then, of course, the Jets. And so you think one or two of those last six?
Yeah. The Jets at home and one of those games on accident. And, and here's the thing, like as far as Vegas is concerned, if we win one of those games, it's going to be on accident. We're not going to be the favorite in any of those games except for the Jets at home because it's at
Right,
home.
right.
Even at home
So if
against
we
Frisco, we're going to probably be a 1 point dog in that game.
Well, and this is how we end up in the cycle that the Dolphins are in with it looks like we are going to be and then we're not. Because if we start 9-2,
Mm-hmm.
if we win two of those last four games, if we get our asses handed to us by the 49ers, by the Packers, by the Browns, by the Texans, everybody's still going to go, well, we're still 11-6. We still maybe even won the division. And
Yeah.
it gives the illusion of what we might be until we play, and maybe we even get a home playoff game. Maybe we win a playoff game. We talked about this yesterday. I want your opinion here. Do you think that the Dolphins look at what the Panthers did and say, oh, we better win a playoff game? Like they won the cup, like they won the conference 2 years in a row. Could we win a playoff game?
Yeah. The thing is, though, the Panthers had something that doesn't come around in sports, but every so once in a while to have that kind of grit and determination of
Right.
we lost the championship and now we're coming back and taking this shit.
Yeah.
Everyone feels the way the Panthers felt after losing to Vegas. Everyone
Right.
has that feeling after losing a championship.
Yeah.
Now go back in your memory bank across sports and how many teams lost the championship, come back and win the championship, not come, but just dominate the entire year the way the like.
I can think of one team. I
I
I,
can
I
think
can
of
think.
one too. I wasn't alive for it, but I can think of it
Yeah, I think we're thinking about the same team.
because I think isn't that what happened before the Dolphins went undefeated? Was they
That is
lost the
correct. We got our asses kicked against the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, and they said screw this, and they went
going
undefeated the
undefeated?
following year. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's like that. Utah Jazz lost in the finals to Michael Jordan and the Bulls. They got back to the finals, but god damn it, Michael Jordan and the Bulls were still there,
the
and
Heat.
it didn't work
The
out.
Didn't the Heat with LeBron? Didn't they lose the first one?
They lost, the first one to Dallas, and
Yeah,
then they won the next two, and then
two,
lost the one
and they
after that.
lost. Right,
Yeah,
right,
so
right.
like every 10 or so years, you got a team that like has that, and coincidentally, two of them were Miami teams. I don't know if it's going to be that way with the Dolphins, and I don't
Yeah,
say that to like say that I doubt them. I just genuinely don't know.
right,
Um,
right.
the guys that we have in the locker room, I'm sure they want to win a Super Bowl, obviously, but I just don't know. I don't know how tough they are, and I don't mean that like physically. I mean they're playing football. Obviously, they're
Yeah,
tough as
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
But the mental makeup, what you're made of, I
Right,
genuinely don't know that about this team.
right, right.
A lot of them
And
haven't been here long enough to really know that.
and when you look at the AFC, I mean, it is still Kansas City and everybody else. It's really kind of Kansas City, and then for some reason, Baltimore just on paper, you would think it's Kansas City and Baltimore, but it's not. It's Kansas City and then Baltimore. Like how the Steelers find a way to make the playoffs every year, Baltimore finds a way to get eliminated every year. They just find a way. Like you look at the team that they have on paper and you're like, they should probably win, but then they don't.
Right.
It's KC, Baltimore, and then everybody else after that is like Campbell's soup, you know?
Well, look at Buffalo last year. It looked like they weren't going to make the playoffs. And then they just
Yeah.
turned it around out of nowhere. Like they were flirting with disaster even. The AFC is just such a grind. And we talked about this yesterday on the thing we tried to record. I'll bring it up again. Imagine if you just swap places with the Bucks. The
Right.
Bucks are in the AFC East and the Dolphins are in the NFC South. We ain't worrying about shit against those three jabronis. Atlanta, New
Come on,
Orleans,
bro.
and Carolina. Like, come on,
You
man.
know, you said it yesterday. It pissed me off. I'm still pissed off about that because when you think about the difference, I mean, why,
You're just worried
why
about
we?
Frisco and Philly in the NFC. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, just the division. I mean, that would
Oh, yeah.
that's just like a instant puncher ticket. The Dolphins would win that division every year. It wouldn't even be.
And I didn't do anything to the team. I didn't do anything to the organization. It's the same 53. It's the same guys
Right.
running the show. They're
Right.
just in the NFC South now.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all
Yep.
I did.
Yep. No, that's very true. So, one thing that lost in the whole looking at how hellish the last 6 games is, the first two aren't exactly cupcakes either. We're talking about we need to be 8-3, 9-2 when we hit those last 6. The first 2 games they're at home, but it's Jacksonville, so that's not like a weather advantage. And then
Right.
it's the Bills coming in, and it's the Thursday night, by the way. The first real Thursday night game of the year is Dolphins is Bills. There's Thursday night this week, but they didn't already play, so they're not tired. They're still fresh.
So they
So
took the sun out of the equation. It's almost
it,
like in wrestling when you have your manager that might help you out sometimes in a match, and they book in this pay-per-view match. All right, guess what? That homeboy, he's in the back. He is barred from ringside. That is what they did to the Sun for that Bills game.
yeah,
The Sun's
yeah.
barred from ringside. Can't use them. It's still gonna be hot though.
Now, since that the humidity at night down there is insane. But since that day on Twitter where the rest of the world discovered that what we had already known for years, which was that the home half of the stadium is in shade and the away half of the stadium is not in shade.
Yeah.
Since that day,
By design.
oddly enough, the Dolphins have not had a single 1 o'clock September game against a division opponent in the 2 years.
Well, that's bullshit because they keep putting us in divisional games in the snow in December. If you're going to do it this way, why don't you do it the other way?
I know.
I'd be perfectly fine with that. If you scheduled it that way, like, you know what, this just isn't fair, fine. We will play all of our home division games in December, in December when it's colder.
Yeah.
And we're going to play all of our division road games in September.
Yes.
We're already going to New England in September. We're going to go to Buffalo in September. We're going to go to New York City in September. You want to do that, do it both ways.
Well, I know there's going to be at least one Bills fan watching this. And what that Bills fan is going to say is that they did that for the Dolphins last year. We had the home game against the Bills, last game of the season for the division, and bleh,
Yeah,
hairball.
well, you know what?
Hairballed it right up.
They were also a Skylar Thompson bunny away from the new Bill Stadium having to be a dome because we can't win in the cold either. Because they
I
already
know.
admitted they can't win in the heat.
I know.
See,
I
that's
know.
the thing about Dolphin fans. We're stubborn. We're not going to admit that we can't win in the cold. We're just like, it's going to happen. The next one, it's going to happen.
Eventually. Eventually. You know, I was on that subject. I was doing research for a video I put out a couple of weeks ago, and it brought me to all of the old Dolphins versus Bills playoff games in January in Buffalo, and it was about Marino, and I just when I came to realize the only time that Marino beat the Bills in the playoffs was after Jim Kelly left, and it was Doug Flutie, and the thing with the cold weather, I mean, it's got to be somewhat mental. Like with the Panthers in hockey, finally being able to beat Vegas in Vegas this year, right? But past that, give me your thoughts on the Tua extension and the McDaniel extension in terms of those hot. It's not hot seats anymore. Now their seats are nice. They're nice and comfy, and they're kind of lean back in their chair, and you kind of get the idea that they're thinking, now watch this, but do you trust them?
They're certainly going to be around. That was the first thing I was going to say. You alluded to that already. Like anybody who is thinking, like, I'm giving McDaniel one more chance this season. I'm giving Tua one more chance. No, you're not. They're going to be here at least 2-3 more years before anything happens. Yep. I love Mike McDaniel. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. Definitely one of the smartest coaches in the league. We've said this before on the show. Sometimes he's too smart for his own good. I think he's going to reel that in, though. I really do. I think this might be a bad analogy, but you ever see, like, when a player is, like, too athletic for their own good?
Yeah.
And they'll be out of position or they'll get penalties sometimes. And once they, like, harness that in for a little bit, now they're a weapon because they still have that athleticism, but they're able to channel it. If he can do that with that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So to that point, what happens first? Which one of these two things happens first? Mike McDaniel does not call a bubble screen behind the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 2, or Dan Campbell kicks the frickin' field goal. Which one of those two things happens first?
I'm going to have to go. Ooh.
It's tough. Yeah.
Because they're both. I was going to say because Dan's more stubborn, but I can't say that because they're both extremely stubborn in different ways.
Yeah.
Campbell's stubborn in that caveman stubborn way where, like, I can't see another way, so I'm going to keep doing it this way. And if it doesn't work this way, I'm just going to end up fucking breaking it. Whereas McDaniel's stubborn in the way of, I'm too smart for you. It is going to work this way because it's the way I thought of. Therefore, it's the way.
Yeah.
So, like, they're both extremely stubborn for different reasons.
That's what got Jimmy Johnson out of the league, Yeah. Because he came to Miami with Marino, and he had just built what he built in Dallas in one, and he insisted that Marino was going to be Aikman, and any running back, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, was going to be Emmitt Smith. If it killed Jimmy Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and was it Lorenzo? No, Lorenzo Hampton was before that. There was one other guy he drafted. Somebody in the comments is going to know. It was after Jabbar. But he just kept trying to recreate what he did in Dallas because he was kind of a mix between Campbell and Mike. He had the caveman mentality, but he also thought he was the smartest caveman there was.
And he was the one who found fire.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But before him, the quarterback running back trio never existed. If you ask Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, he forgot to find that Michael Irvin for the Dolphins.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a really good point. But back to this year. I don't want to be that guy, but I am that guy because I'm old and I'm crusty and I've been just bludgeoned over the head for years and years and years with this team. I want to have hope, but again, we talked about this yesterday. And no, don't go looking for the video we made yesterday because we're talking about it all again. There was technical issues, but
Yeah.
last year, whenever we were 8-3, whatever we were at the best, and people like me were still kind of like, no, wait, I don't know about, but and then a lot of the fan base was like, no, have hope. This team is different, etc. And then of course it wasn't. So now you still got, me out there going, I don't know, but I wonder how many of those people last year that really bought in before that Tennessee Titans game that really thought, man, we're going to win 13, 14 games. We're cruising. I wonder how many of those people now are in my camp where it's like, talk to me at the end of the season.
I definitely became jaded after that Titans game. It also helped that like I'm not a lifelong Dolph fan, so I don't have
Right.
the emotional attachment to it. It's almost
Right,
like
right,
when a
right.
kid lets you down, and I'm here as the step parent. Like, yo, this ain't my DNA. Your kid sucks. But I also recognize, like we talked about, like how hard the AFC is, and in particular, the quarterbacks. Like if you just ask me, if we're talking about by himself, not comparing him to other quarterbacks in the league, is Tua good enough to win a Super Bowl? Fuck yeah, he's good enough. Like Tua's really good.
Right.
But I was seeing this thing on First Take, and Dan Orlovsky was naming off his elite quarterbacks in the league, and Stephen A. and Shannon were both scoffing at him because he had 9. Now that's a big number.
That's a lot.
But when he's going through the names, you're like, yeah, that's an elite quarterback. Yeah, that's an elite quarterback. The people that you were nitpicking was, is he an elite quarterback still? Like Rodgers, Stafford.
Right.
Is he an elite quarterback yet? Stroud. But like all those people, you're like, yeah, I see it. Like the only one that like everybody on the panel was like, I don't see it was Brock Purdy. So even if you take Brock Purdy off of that, that's 8. But you have a lot of people on the West Coast telling you, like, what else does Brock Purdy need to do, right?
Right.
I mean, Brock Purdy, there's just so many. And of those 9 people, if anybody's wondering, no, he didn't put Tua on that list. But, like, if Tua was to have another season like he did, and let's say Tua wins in December, all of a sudden you're throwing him on that list, and now it's 10 people on what's supposed to be a list of elite quarterbacks in the league. It's just, everyone's so goddamn good now, man.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is very true. The teams that don't have a good quarterback, the Patriots, the Giants, those types of teams, if you don't have at least a very good quarterback, you're not going to win a lot in this league because the rules are, their design is like, look, all you got to do is have a couple fast wide receivers and a good quarterback, and you are going to score points because you're not allowed to touch any of those guys. You're not allowed to touch any of them. You know?
Everyone keeps talking about Herbert. Herbert has the same amount of playoff wins as Tua. He has less playoff appearances than Tua.
Right. Yeah.
But everyone's like, yeah, no, it needs to be Herbert. And it's the same thing. He's got a big monkey in his way with the Kansas City Chiefs, and we got big monkeys in our way with the Bills, and used to be the Patriots too, but now it's just one in our way on each one there. And if I've said this before, usually I was just talking about the offensive line when that was a problem. If Herbert had been the guy picked instead of Tua,
right,
it would be the same exact thing. It would have been Herbert getting knocked on his ass every single play, not having enough time for people to get open,
right,
not winning playoff games, and people would be wanting to get rid of him.
Yeah. No, I understand.
It would be the same thing.
Yeah. No disagreement there.
Maybe Flores would have been nicer to Herbert. That's the only difference.
Yeah, that might have. Yeah. Now, of course, the offensive line still remains, somewhat of an issue. Many of the names that we cringed at the beginning of last season, we're still cringing over the same guy. It's like it is turning into Liam Eichenberg is like our most reliable and soon will be our most long tenured offensive lineman. It's like he's he's not bad enough. How can I put this? He's just barely good enough to be like, all right, let him play guard. All right, I guess he can play the center for. You know what I mean? It's like it's all right. It's just like if you don't have to push anybody forward, Liam. If you could just not let them run past you, we'll take it, right?
Does he have you blocked on Twitter yet?
What's that?
Does he have you blocked on Twitter yet?
I know I'm not on Twitter enough.
Is he
I'm
gonna
not on
is he
Twitter.
gonna be the Ekblad of flying 4 feet football?
No, I'm learning to appreciate Eichenberg for what he is in the sense that I mean he just
That's
there
like
was a there
Ekblad
was
though.
a there was a defensive back that used to play for the Dolphins in the late '80s. I think he made it to the early '90s. His name was William Judson, and it was back when Shula and the Dolphins, the defense sucked, and they had Marino, but they couldn't fix the defense. But this guy William Judson was back there almost every year, and he was he was exactly what Eichenberg is. He was not bad enough to give up on him, but not good enough to really help you win any games. But he wasn't bad enough to, you started the season as like, well, I guess we'll just put Judson over there in the corner and deal with what we have to. We never would replace him because he was just kind of like neutral. He was just kind of like there and he did his thing and he stayed healthy. But, he'd bit, burnt toast every once in a while, but not enough to where you were like screaming, like when Sammy sucks. It wasn't that bad. And Eichenberg just kind of reminds me of him because he's not good. He's not bad. He is the definition of just a guy. But every year he just pops up. He's like, oh, I'm the center now. I'm the guard now. And you're just like, well, everybody else is hurt. So at least he's still a healthy body. So I guess
Right.
go ahead, Liam.
So I guess instead of being our Ekblad, he's our Nick Cousins.
Yeah. Who's with the Leafs now? So
Is that
last
where he
thing.
went? I thought he went to the Senators.
Oh, yeah. Why did I say the Leafs? Oh, I know why I
It's
said the
all
Leafs.
Ontario.
Yeah, no. I saw a podcast about Sam Bennett and the Leafs, and I got it. I got the Rats confused for a little bit. No, it was. This is off topic. Forgive us, football people, but apparently Sam Bennett was asked about something in an interview, and what he said was because he's from Toronto. So he's like, I'm here all summer, and everybody says, I hate you, but I wish you were a Leaf. And the Leaf fans are taking that to mean that he's going to leave Florida as a free agent and go be a Leaf next year.
Oh, okay. All right. There it is.
So
Being the Cowboys fans of hockey. All right.
exactly.
Good on
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Everybody just wants to go to that. Right, exactly.
Got it.
So give me your what is it? September. It's Labor Day. Give me your Labor Day prediction for the Dolphins at the end of the season when we're making our last review. What are we bitching and complaining about, and what are we saying?
I think it's going to be a lot of the same shit. I
Oh
mean,
man,
looking at the schedule, and I feel bad for everybody involved because of this.
right.
But if you look at that schedule, it just looks like we're going to start off hot. We're going to have a rough last month of the year. And we're going to be a wild card team coming into the playoffs. Now, here's the thing. If you presented that schedule to anybody, I don't care if we're talking about to the Chiefs, it's a
Right.
hard schedule. I think even the Chiefs go like 3-3 on that.
And those, yeah.
Right. Like, it's just, I mean, you can't complain about it. Like, you can't change rules about it. It's just an unfortunate draw. Like, there's going to be years where those last 6 are easy.
Right.
Maybe not just because of the geographical makeup of our division. Again, if we were in the
And
NFC South.
I mean, there's going to be years where Tennessee at home on a Monday night is on your schedule, and you
Hey,
still
you're up
find a way to
16 with
screw
2
it up.
minutes left.
Yeah.
Those things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, they happen to the
But
Dolphins every year, but that's a different story. So you were giving us your prediction.
but yeah, so I see the writing on the wall, and that's why I say I feel bad, because I also know that the brass tacks of it is the Dolphins haven't won in the playoffs, and they need to win the playoffs. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if they're a wild card team and that game's at Baltimore. You have to win.
Right.
Sorry, like
Yeah.
it sucks that that's the case. Like, I guess if you're hoping, I no, because I can't even say Jacksonville anymore because Houston's going to win that division. I'd say you hope Jacksonville wins the division and you're going to Jacksonville, but I don't even want to go to Houston.
Yeah.
Like, think about who you think is going to probably win these divisions here: Buffalo, Kansas City, Houston, and what's the division I'm forgetting? Kansas City,
Um,
Buffalo, Houston.
the North,
Oh, either
Baltimore.
the Bengals or the Ravens, either
Right,
one.
right, right.
I don't want to go to any of those places.
Exactly.
But the way the schedule looks and how we're going to probably fare, I mean, if we finish above Buffalo, a lot of things change.
Right. Well,
If we
there's a
finish
lot of people.
above Buffalo, a lot of things change. And Buffalo don't have Diggs anymore. They lost a couple people on defense as well. I think
Right.
we picked up one of their guys on defense.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying?
But
That should be the goal, is to
now,
do whatever you got to do to finish in front of Buffalo, because I have more faith in you doing that than going on the road to Cincinnati or on the road to Kansas City or on the road to Houston. Let's just stay in front of Buffalo the entire season and not
so it's
just all the
interesting.
way to the end.
It's interesting that you would put it that way because I watched the Rich Eisen show. I've watched a bunch of content, and the majority of the predictions that I'm seeing, they have us finishing over Buffalo. They have us winning the division, but they don't got Buffalo in second place. They got the Jets in second place, and you haven't brought them up at all. And I could already see in the comments, don't overlook the Jets.
It's
The
not.
way I look at it, is the Jets won 7 games last year with Tim Boyle and Zach Wilson. How many more games do you win with Aaron Rodgers? 3, 4? I mean, that's 10, 11 wins.
I mean, how many snaps is he going to have this year?
I mean, yeah.
That's the thing about the Jets. It's not overlooking the Jets. It's,
Right.
I know the Jets.
You just expect them to
I know
implode at some
something's going
point.
to happen. I know they were 8-3 with Brett Favre and finished 8-8. I know that Aaron Rodgers showed up and saved the franchise and tore his Achilles on the first snap. They're the Jets. Like,
Right.
it's not overlooking them, it's knowing who they are.
I couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better. That's true. That's very
Something
true.
will happen with them. Like, that's all I can say, because it does feel supernatural-ish. I'll give you another example. I avoided Derrick Henry like the plague in fantasy. Why? It's Derrick Henry. He's on the Ravens. That makes too much sense. Here's the thing. That Ravens jersey is cursed for running backs. It doesn't matter who the hell it is. He's going to bust his shit in week 2 or 3, because they all do. Speaking of which, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, take either one. They're not there anymore. I bet you they both stay healthy on the Chargers.
Right.
But no, something will happen to Derrick Henry. I can't explain what, can't explain when, can't explain how. I just know something will happen. I hope it doesn't, by the way. Like, Derrick Henry, don't take this wrong. But it was just another example that, like the Jets, there's just some supernatural thing about that franchise. Something's going to happen. You can say that about the Dolphins, too. December. Something's going to happen in December. And figure everything out.
So, to give you my thoughts, I'm going to have to put my. No, I don't need my glasses today. Look at this. I'm getting younger by the minute. Okay. So I'm just going to go real quick over the schedule. Like I said, we start off with the Jaguars and Bills. You can survive a 1-1 start there, because after the Jags and Bills are the Seahawks, the Titans, the Patriots, the Colts, the Cardinals. So I never call anything.
You maybe lose the Colts game, but other than that, you're winning everything.
Yeah, you would hope so. And then, before we get that 6-game streak there, it's not exactly Cupcake City. All right, we're on the road November 3rd against the Bills, and then we're on the road November 11th on Monday night against the Rams, and then we're home.
November 3rd might be just early enough that snow ain't falling.
Right, yeah, that's going to be iffy weather. So then after the Rams, we're home against the Raiders, we're home against the Patriots, and then we've got those last 6. So to me, looking at it, yeah, I mean, Seahawks, Titans, both games against the Patriots, Cardinals, Rams, Raiders. That's 7 games that are against teams that you absolutely cannot do what you did last year. You have to win those
Yep.
games. You can't pull what you pulled against Tennessee last year. You have to win those games.
Otherwise, you're having to win one of those extra 6 down the stretch that you're not really
Yeah,
counting on anyway.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
happens. When you
Right,
lose a game like that Tennessee game, now you have to go win a game in Kansas City. If you don't want to
right,
have to go win a game in Kansas City, win your Tennessee game.
right,
Like,
right.
beat the people you're
So
supposed to beat. Like, it sounds simple because it is simple, but do it. Beat the people
yeah.
you're supposed to beat.
So if I was going to place money on what I think is going to happen, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I think that they are going to change the narrative somewhat. I think that they are going to have a couple of slip ups in that middle section where we hit the 11 game mark at maybe only 7-4. And then we knock out 4-2 in those last 6, still win 11 games, win the division, win a playoff game, and then wherever we go after that, probably get our asses handed to us. But to me,
You'd feel better about that, though.
it had. I was gonna say, to me, that kind of 11. You have to win 11 games. You have to win a playoff game. Anything short of that, and you're really gonna have the doubters about Tua. I don't. I mean, it depends on how we lose it. Did he get hurt? What? It depends on the how. But somebody's gonna have some shade throw their way, either with Tua McDaniel. If we can't manage to win with this roster, manage to win one lousy playoff game.
Hey, I mean, we keep saying we hope they end up becoming the Panthers. That's how it started with the Panthers.
Right.
Win a playoff series. Win a game in the second round.
Right.
Oh God, we really used to be the Leafs. But then things changed.
It's so true. It's so true.
Then we
So
got to the cup, and it's like, all right, let's win a game. We did
yeah,
that, and
that's
then
what
it
we
wasn't
did.
enough.
Had to go back a whole another year.
That would
So
have sucked if we just had to do it like 4 years in a row. Like get back, only win 2 games. Get back, win 3 games. Get back and finally win.
I was a little bit concerned that that's the way it was going to go, because you know you didn't win any the first time, right? And then the next time around, okay, yeah. So now you've won 2 games or 1 game, and yeah, it worked out. Panthers are the champions, and the Dolphins will be champions of a playoff game.
Hey, but
That's
I
what
mean,
we.
obviously, those franchises are intertwined with each other. They're always promoting each other on social media. The Dolphins had their elevator wrapped up in Panthers stuff during the Cup. Kachuk always talks about Jalen Waddle being his favorite player. He even does the waddle on the
Yeah,
ice. His dad
yeah,
did it when they won the Cup, when they were out there bringing the Cup out. So my point being, like, obviously these guys know each other, talk to each other. Pick their brain. Like, if that's what it takes, like, a couple of them Dolphin players and Dolphin coaches, like, figure out what it is. I mean,
yeah,
I think, and I've said this before when people would freak out about stuff with the Panthers, like when we would lose that 6-2 game against Boston and whatnot.
hmm
I always said, like, athletes are looking at this different than fans. Like, they're completely different in the head. That's why they're
yeah,
where they're at. So they probably don't necessarily need to go hang out with, but I would still be cool with it. I would still love to see it.
yeah. No, I get it.
So, but whatever you got, like, that's what the Panthers did. Whatever they had to do to get it done, they got it done, and all the way until the end. Like that game 7, it's like, hey, you've blown the last 3. I don't care. Do whatever
Right.
it fucking takes, and that's
That's
what they
it.
did, and that's just what the Dolphins are going to have to do. And I think it starts with winning the division because it gets so much harder if they don't.
Yep. Yep.
So
Totally
I
agree.
don't care what it takes. You have to have more wins than Buffalo and the Jets
And the Jets.
and win the goddamn division. I don't care.
Patriots come out of nowhere. Patriots come out of nowhere, go 14-3, and screw up everybody's plan.
It's still our division, you fucking.
All right, Trey. This was fun. This was good. And yeah, Thursday night the season starts, and then there's I think there's football Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. I mean, it's insane. Colin and I are going to be blind by the end of the week, but that's okay.
And Hurricanes football is back. That's
that's right.
After one win.
Jeez, that's right.
One win against Florida, and they're back.
Oh boy, yeah. I grew up when we weren't back. We were. There was no back. Okay, I grew up in the '80s. I still remember crying after they lost to Notre Dame to end that streak of like 10 million games straight that we won. You know what I mean? So
I didn't get to see those teams. I got to see the 0-1 team.
Right.
That was the last one.
That was the last one. Yep. All right, everybody. We appreciate it, and we will see you again on the stream Thursday.